Okay, welcome along everyone. This is a webinar with PAAR London and stafftreats. I'm your glamorous host this afternoon for your event. My name is Kathryn Wilson. And today our webinar is going to be all about some telltale signs an employee is about to burn out and other well-being tips for your team. So a very interesting webinar, I have no doubt, as I've already met these lovely ladies that are going to be chatting to us today. And this webinar is all about well-being and ways we can feel better in ourselves, because that's important in any job, that's important in any life. And this is especially a good time to be doing this type of webinar, as of course it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So some of our panelists today, hello and welcome to Ayse Kocac.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, how's it going? Forgive me, but did I pronounce it okay? Yeah.
Ayse Kocac, perfect.
Yes, fantastic. Okay. And you are the founder and the CEO of PAAR London. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And we also have Veronika Pongracz. She is the head of wellbeing, yoga and mindfulness teacher, and she is also a health and wellbeing coach. Welcome, Veronika.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys. And we also have Ezgi Kacar.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. She is a holistic health and nutrition coach. So we definitely have it sussed when we're looking into well-being for this webinar today. Before we get started on questions for our panelists, if you have any questions you'd like to ask us, please use the chat function for that, and we'll hopefully get round to them today. Okay, so we're going to start with yourself, Ayse. Ayse. Correct. So you created PAAR to work with individuals who are in search of implementing lasting changes in improving their health and their energy and their vitality. Basically, the whole of them as a person, you want to improve on that. So I have a question for you first off. Your career focus has been within the health industry, from working in leadership roles to setting up your own pharmaceutical company. What was your vision when creating PAAR?
Okay. Well, thank you, Yasmin. So first of all, PAAR means transcend in Hindi. So, basically, going beyond limits. That's part of, my life motto in life, is going beyond limits. So as you pointed out, I have a, background in pharma. And, what I've seen over the years is that, and I got to believe is that the same, shared beliefs are just there. It can be about health, how long we live or how we live, all sorts of these things. So, but they're not written in stone. And the more I learned, the more I experienced, about the science, about, the energy, about it, the holistic approach. I have to, come to the conclusion that we need to go beyond the, some sort of like shared accepted limits of how long we live, how well we live, and, what's out there for us. So that's basically what inspired me. I thought, okay, well, we can offer everybody the ability to, slow down, stop, even reverse their aging, by working, by allowing their own bodies innate ways to either heal itself or regenerate itself or, regenerate, all of those. So it is possible. And, and if we go in that route, we don't necessarily need to stick with the, you're old at that age and you get sick and then you pass away. That's not an established route that I'm willing to accept. So therefore, I think our mission is to offer everybody that chance and opportunity and that, possibility. And the beauty of it is coming from pharmaceuticals for many, many years. I think, being able to offer people that, look, if we understand what's happening with you, then we can work with your body's innate systems to heal itself and to work out things that are going on. So that's what's exciting with me. And we don't need to wait certain time to get sick. We can take some measures now if we know enough about ourselves and it's live a longer, healthier, happier life. I mean, it's possible. So that's what excites us, and that's what our mission is.
I love that as a company mission. Just, we're not going to settle for anything less. We're going to try and make our mental, physical, and our lifelines as long as they can be in the best possible way. So I love that. Thank you for that. So we're looking at wellness in the workplace today. So what do you think the company should be looking to incorporate in with their businesses, with their employees or freelancers, all those type of things within the working environment? What should they be focusing on, and why is wellness so important?
Okay, so I think wellness, well-being, health is important everywhere. So I think I always say that, as the best mom, boss, employee, person I can be is, a happy, healthy one. So therefore, when I'm happy and healthy is when I'm going to, bring the best to the others in this world who are either working with me or who are expecting things from me. So I think we need to take care of ourselves, but we also, as employers, need to help our employees and allow them either the platforms or ways that they can take better care of themselves. So I think being really interested in the well-being of people in the workplace is very important, because that is what would create, I think, in return, this will come as loyalty, this will come as higher retention, higher productivity, better workplace environment, better results. So I think that's critical, and supporting people who are working with us is critically important to do that. Because I think, and how to do that was the second part of your question. I think, our belief is that this is a personalized approach, and it can be at any level, so it's not just flat out to everybody, breathe deeply, which is nice. Veronika says that, but then there are some other personalized things that are happening in our body, and there are easy, simple ways to understand that. And if let's say an employer is interested enough to really understand about what's going on at a personalized level with their employees, then the solutions and the recommendations can be really, really impactful. They don't need to do 60 things, but they can do 6 things that are going to make a big difference for them and bring the productivity, wellness, and loyalty to the company as well. So that's how I see it.
I think that's so important, because often these ideas, these ideals of well-being in the workplace are all very generalized when we're all very different. So therefore, the policies and the way we help our employees should be different too. I really like that. And today we're talking a lot about burnout. So is there anything that you would maybe discuss with your employees to say, I don't want you to head towards burnout, so please do more of this in your daily lives? Anything you can think of?
Sure. I would just start with, I think burnout only happens if you're doing something that you don't like to do.
Oh, I like that.
And I think if you're doing something that you really enjoy doing, I don't think burnout is going to happen. That's not necessarily related to what we do, but I truly believe in that. So first of all, including my team and including everybody, it's important that people really focus on, give their times to something that they really believe in, think that they can help themselves, help the world. So that's number one rule for burnout, I think.
So quit your job if you don't like it.
Well, or kind of try to find aspects that are, really what you're passionate about. Yeah. So it's a perspective, I would say. But if you really hate it, yes, I would say, do something else. But on the other hand, I think the way we live today affects our innate ability to regenerate, renew, and heal ourselves. And this mechanism is switched off. And we're kind of, this makes us, more, I think, leaving us more vulnerable to diseases and to aging and things like that. So therefore, I think this awakening needs to happen, so that you need to understand what's going on with you, and you need to understand as a unique person, what's going on with me. Once you're aware, then it's easier to, incorporate some of these personalized measures into your life. Okay, I really shouldn't be eating these. I mean, it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but if it can happen like some of the time, that's going to help, or realizing how you need to get rid of your toxins. What toxins have accumulated, or what is the way that, because people say, oh, I can't meditate, yeah, but what can you do? So let's find out what would work for you. So I think there's something that would work for everybody. And if people can take care of themselves, if employers can support this process, and if we do things that we generally enjoy and are passionate about, I think that's the way to really limit burnout.
And you've done some incredible things in your life. Your CV, honestly, reading it, I was like, what? Was really quite something. And it's so nice to like meet someone and speak to someone who is so focused on well-being. There's one thing being a powerful woman, in life, and that you initially think, I don't know, in my culture, you see powerful woman, you think works 24 hours of the day, but now we're understanding that you're a mother and that your business is in well-being. So I think that is truly special. But listen, we're going to come back to you because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions for you. But we're going to move on now to Veronika. Is that okay with you, Veronika? Can we move on to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Veronika, you have 10 years of experience in the wellness and hospitality industry, and you execute and lead meaningful holistic wellness programs. I believe we might be getting a little bit of meditation at the end of this webinar, just to help maybe through the rest of our day, which I'll look forward to. So as you're aware, and I'm sure it's the same for most people watching today, we're confined to our desks for between 6 to 10 hours a day. I think statistics say 7 to 8 hours, but it's probably more like 10. What do you think that leaders can do to actively promote healthy eating habits while we're at our desks? And why is investing in your nutrition in your life beneficial for employees?
Let me direct this question to Ezgi, because she's more into nutrition and more kind of focusing on mental health. So
okay.
For this question.
Okay. I'll move on to another question and we'll come back to that then. Okay. So Veronika, in the discussion of mental health and emotional health, it's fortunately becoming more frequent. What do you think that leaders of companies should be doing right today to ensure the mental health well-being of their staff?
Thank you for the question. So as I think Ayse touched on it a little bit regarding health in general and well-being at the workplace. So what I would like to highlight here is that more and more companies are looking after, or more and more companies, mental health is part of their company culture.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, yes. And like Ayse said earlier, the reason is because for a thriving business, you need thriving employees. Now, what we need to understand is that good mental health goes hand in hand with good management. But when we think about health, we shouldn't think about physical health and mental health in an isolated way. There are several studies that proved that mental health and physical health are really strongly correlated. So, for example, chronic stress can cause physical issues on the long run, and physical issues can cause mental health issues. For example, let's say that if your gut health is not in check, that can cause anxiety, depression. So physical and mental health is strongly correlated. So to answer your question, what can leaders of the company or management can do to be able to focus more on mental health and support mental health in the company? I think they would need to look at 3 areas. One of them is valuing mental health and well-being as the core asset of the organization. So implementing policies that deal with staff management that reflect that. They also need to support the development of management and leaders within the company, so they have all the tools to respond any associates, any employees who have any mental health issues. And last but not least is to strongly address discrimination against mental health.
Very good. Yeah. So it can be a conversation that we're all happy to to speak about, rather than keep it more hidden and just with, our direct managers or something like that. So we wrote a recent blog on Staff Treats about burnout. Back to that, the real reason why we're here today having this discussion. We're all terrified of burnout, especially while working from home. In the last 14, 15 months now, we've all had to find a new space working from home. What advice would you give to employees that feel like they're perhaps at the burnout point? Some of us do love our jobs, but we just do too much of it, and we find it hard to stop when we're at our computers, and we want to get this job finished, and we've realized it's 10 p.m. and our working hours are only till 5 p.m. So what techniques from a point of mindfulness would help us adapt?
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the question. So as Ayse said earlier, it starts with awareness, right? So we are aware of how we feel. We are tuning in with our innate kind of calling, like, is this something that I really want to do? Let's say that yes, it is. We would also need to be aware of the signs, because we can do a lot of things to prevent burnout before even reaching to that point. So what are these signs to pay attention to? First of all, if we feel physically and mentally exhausted, let's say that we do have enough sleep, but yet we wake up every morning and we feel tired. We experience maybe physical symptoms like headaches or stomach aches or changes with our sleep. This is a good sign to pay attention to. Also, another sign would be irritability. So if you find that things start to annoy you, or you're less and less patient with your family members or friends, or maybe even colleagues, that's a good sign that something is going on. Your body is asking for your attention. Other signs include escape behaviors, maybe daydreaming, or if we feel that we don't have a work-life balance. So as you said, that we always think about work. Let's say that we're going to bed thinking about work, we wake up, we think about work. And when our mind don't get a break between, so don't get the time to kind of recover and renew and refresh, then that can lead to burnout. And also we will find that we will become more frequently ill. So we maybe come down with the flu more often, maybe we have some weight gain or weight loss, insomnia, or even anxiety or depression. These are all telltale signs which, if we pay attention to, we can avoid burnout. So just to give you a couple of practical tips, let's start with the 3 fundamentals of energy. So what are those? Those are nutrition, which going to, I think Ezgi is going to probably go into more details regarding healthy nutrition, regular exercise, and sufficient sleep. So this is not new information. We all know this, yet we often overlook these very 3 key fundamentals. So if we have these 3 locked down, then it is very easy to avoid burnout. So apart from that, a couple of other tips that I can recommend is to prioritize and tackle things one at a time. So if you're looking at a mountain of tasks, then we can often feel like, oh my God, this is too overwhelming. I feel more stressed. I feel more anxiety. But if we break things down, let's say we make tasks, we take the task, then we feel that it is a lot manageable. Then we see that, okay, there is a mountain of tasks, but there is a staircase that is going up next to the mountain to achieve our goals. So this is another kind of like extra tip on top of the 3 fundamentals. Another thing that I think is important is to notice the self-critic and cultivate self-compassion. So this kind of links in with the practice of mindfulness. So just noticing how we talk to ourselves and turn it into more positive self-talk. So let's say that, oh, I haven't finished this today either. I have so much to do. Turn it into something more positive, that I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this. I love my job. Let's tackle this. I've done enough today. So kind of like changing towards a more positive self-talk.
Mm-hmm. I love what you just said there. Obviously, sleep is a great passion of mine. But whenever you said, ticking off a list, I really related to that, because I feel like for a lot of people, including myself, life is just one constant to-do list. And if you get the things like nutrition and sleep ticked off the box at the start of the day, and that's the first 2 things on your to-do list, because so many people forget about, the self before they start, calling their colleagues or speaking to their boss or, getting on with their work schedule. So I really like what you've touched on there. That's really hit home with me. So thank you. So say we have 5 minutes, which we do now, Veronika. Could you maybe give us like a demonstration of how employees can take 5 minutes during their working day to maybe like do some sort of meditation? Now, I do understand that, what I'd really like to do with 5 minutes is take a nap. And I suppose that mindfulness and, meditation is a little bit, it's the body shutting down for a moment, not the body, maybe the brain just coming to, would you call it peace? What would you call meditation? How would you name it?
Well, it really depends. For me, meditation is really about being aware. So if you have 5 minutes during your day to perhaps, and you want to do meditation, so the first thing that I would perhaps suggest is to look at what type of work you're doing, because maybe you're sitting in front of a desk all day, let's say 8-10 hours, then the last thing you probably want to do to sit a little bit more and meditate. In that case, you can apply mindfulness and meditation-based techniques and do a walking meditation. So in that case, maybe going out to nature and then just simply walking in the park that is near you, or even on the street, or even within your own home if you can't go outside, and then just paying attention to the movements of the feet, paying attention to the sounds around you, paying attention to the sensations in the body. It can help your brain to switch from this fight or flight mode, this work mode, into a more restorative, let's say, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So switching into this more restorative state that can be really healing, even if you only do 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. Now, if your work is something where you have to run around, you go from one meeting to another, then you might appreciate to sit down and meditate. But there are different ways of meditating as well. So meditating is not necessarily mean that you sit down, fold yourself into a pretzel, and then you suddenly find inner peace and there are no more thoughts. Meditation quite often means that maybe you sit on a chair because you want to be comfortable. I wouldn't recommend laying down because then you will fall asleep. But if you sit on a chair, you're comfortable with your feet on the ground, that is a good starting point. And then all you need to do is just to watch what is happening. So quite often we have the expectation that with meditation, we are going to clear our mind and we are going to arrive into this peaceful, empty path. But that is not necessarily the goal. The goal is to get out of this whirlpool of the mind and get into the body. So we can do that through our senses. So we can listen to the sounds around us while we are in meditation. We can observe the thoughts as they arrive and they pass. So just imagining them like you're standing on a train station and then a train arrives and you get on the train and then you realize, oh, I didn't want to get on this train. And then you get off at the next station and continue watching the trains. In this metaphor, the trains are a train of thoughts. So the more you practice, the more you're going to be able to just watch as the trains come and then go without getting involved. Other techniques that you can use is you can do a body scan. So feel each part of the body in turn, or you can focus on the feeling and the rhythm of your breath. So really whatever works for you. You can also listen to music, focus on the sounds. So it is about getting out of this whirlpool thinking mind, getting attached to our thoughts, to becoming more the observer. And ultimately what is going to do for us, it will help us to switch from this fight or flight mode into a more restorative space that can ultimately support our well-being and our longevity.
Honestly, I could listen to you all day because I just feel relaxed now, more so than I was earlier. I love the idea of like the whirlpool of the mind. And I think so many of us would say that they can't meditate because they can't step away from the whirlpool. But I don't actually, would you agree that it's, you're not stepping away from the whirlpool, you're just going somewhere else? Would you say? Oh. I think Veronika has frozen. I thought I'd frozen. Veronika, are you coming back? Oh, well, hopefully she'll come. She's just she's too relaxed. The meditation has been too good. Okay. Ezgi, can we begin with you now? Can I ask you some questions?
Sure, I would be happy to.
Oh, you're back, Veronika. Welcome back. Okay, Ezgi, very interesting CV as well. So you are a a holistic health coach and a former general practitioner. And you've done a thesis on self-efficiency and levels of patients with type 2 diabetes. But you've done so much more than just that. And I'm very intrigued to hear all of your opinions on how we can improve our well-being in the workplace. So I'll ask you the question I asked to Veronika because I was supposed to ask it to you. As you know, many of us are confined to our desk for up to 8 hours a day, which I actually think is probably 10 to 12 hours a day, if we're really honest. What do you think that leaders can do to actively promote healthy eating habits while we're at the desk? And why is investing in nutritional beneficial for our employees?
Well, thank you for the question. And I'd like to start why it's important and why we need to invest in this, because it has a quite simple answer. Well, first of all, it benefits both parties. And second of all, we are what we eat. So it's as simple as that. If we want to have fully functioning, happy, motivated, energized employees, then we really need to care about what they eat and what they put into their body. Because to be alive and to fully function, we need energy. And while doing that, while producing energy, we use oxygen, nutrients, and those nutrients basically come from the food we eat. And depending on the quality of the food you eat or quantity of the food you eat, the quality of your energy you're producing and your overall well-being changes. Because while producing this energy, we also release some artifacts, which are mainly known as free radicals. And those free radicals, if they start getting accumulated, they might affect our overall health, well-being, energy level, mood, stress, and many more. And also about food, that many recent research shows that the food we eat, especially the certain ones, can affect our genes. So what does that mean? By making more conscious choices about the food we eat or the lifestyle, we can actually prevent diseases and even stop and slow down the aging process. This science is basically called epigenetic, and it shows that only 15%, our genes have only an effect of 15% in the aging process. And the rest is about our lifestyle and environment. So that is why food is really important and nutrition is really important, because it has a huge effect on our health and aging. And what can leaders do about that, especially to support their employees and advocate that? I think the first thing should be that they need to be the example of that healthy habits that they're promoting for, because otherwise I don't see how that would work to motivate your employees. For example, I work with Ayse, and if we're having a chat about plant-based diet, and she's telling how amazing it is, how it helps me to slow down aging. And the other day I see her having a completely different lifestyle. Now we'll be like, well, there is something wrong, it doesn't fit properly. So the first thing, I think, being an example of that healthy lifestyle that you want to promote. And the second thing, which I think I found it very beneficial for myself and for the other employees that we work with, is giving an opportunity to those people to ask their questions and share their concerns with the experts. So that can be done by organizing webinars like this one, or organizing some monthly or weekly workshops. So because about the nutrition and healthy living, there are a lot of information out there, and it can get really confusing. So if you're able to ask your questions and you share your concerns with an expert who has knowledge in this area and can provide you some science-based, evidence-based data, that would be really, really beneficial.
I think it's become more challenging for employers and employees because we are all working from home. There's a lot of companies that have even completely closed their offices.
Yeah.
So they have little to no knowledge or little to no focus on how much nutrition we're eating, how many times a day we're standing up and moving around.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably more the case when we did work in an office, because you would have gone to see one of your colleagues to speak to them rather than jumping on Zoom like we are now. So is there any way we can measure the health and well-being of our employees?
Yes, of course there are, and we can do this by using many other different testing methods. But before that, I'd like to highlight, if you want to take an action towards your well-being and health, and if you want to measure that, the first thing I would recommend would be having a consultation with an expert to see like which areas you need to focus on, or what kind of testing you would benefit the most. So that would be first thing, having an initial consultation, like one-to-one with an expert, or this can be done via questionnaire as well. Like we will be sending out a questionnaire to all these attendees in the webinars. But the important thing about that assessment and questionnaire is that it should be multidimensional, because health and well-being is not only about the food we eat, it's also about the exercise you do, your stress level, your relationships, your sleep, like if you're taking supplements or detox, and many more. And this is one thing that we are really passionate about in PAAR as well. We really embrace that holistic approach when we look into the individual's well-being and health. So that assessment would be the first step before measuring well-being and health. And the second thing, depending on your conversation with the expert or the result of the questionnaire, that choosing the test would help you the most. What can be done is blood tests, gut health, like food intolerances, toxicity, genetic testing would give you a valuable insight on which areas that you need to focus on and what kind of action you need to take to prevent diseases or stay healthy for younger. So I guess after this testing, the more important part kind of starts, because, okay, you had a consultation, you had done lots of tests, then now you end up with lots of paper and showing you some like number is high, that is marked by red. So what does that mean and what to do with it? That's, I think, the most important part after having those tests done. So again, if you're able to work with experts, or if you're able to get a couple of ideas from different areas, then you can have a personalized recommendation depending on your goals and depending on your findings. And this is something that we highly recommend in PAAR, that we have an assessment, doing testings, and after that, each client would receive a personalized plan that addressing the ongoing issues, the causes behind them, and getting recommendations from different aspects of health.
And how, if you don't mind me asking this, how do you find, like, so you're obviously working from home, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you have like times that you'll set an alarm or a reminder to get you up, like doing something, doing a bit of exercise, or perhaps, having a mindful moment, maybe meditation? Or is there anything that you do that you would recommend that you really enjoy?
Well, I enjoy running in the morning.
Oh, okay.
That's something that keeps me going, but we all are different. So
Yeah.
maybe that works for me, but meditation or taking a nap would be better for you. So I guess it's about like tuning into your body and listening to signs. I usually wake up early, so I like having a bit of time in nature, even by walking or running before starting work. But maybe, like I said, a nap, or I don't know, having a coffee outside would be another thing. So it's really important to listen, like what you want, what your body is telling you to do. So being aware of those signs are quite crucial.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to start a petition so that everybody can get a 30-minute nap every lunchtime. Wouldn't the world be a wonderful place? Wouldn't it be great? So what do you think are the most important rules to follow for healthy nutrition?
Well, first thing, as I just mentioned, it would be listening to your body, because we are all different. And that term is actually called bioindividuality, that basically tells that one diet can't work for everyone, because we all have different culture, different habits, different genetic background, and we all have different favorite food as well. So if we're forcing ourselves to eat the same thing that our friends or neighbors are eating, that won't definitely work. So listening to your body and discovering, maybe a bit of experimenting with food definitely help. But of course, there are some general recommendations that can work for everyone. So one thing would be having a variety, because not only one food can have all the nutrients or vitamins you need. So we need to keep changing and adding more things into our daily diet so we can get all the nutrients and vitamins we need. So let's say if you're having a salad during lunch, one day that salad can be with some greens like tomatoes and cucumbers. So the other day, try to add a bit of nuts or seeds to it to have more like protein or different elements. Mm-hmm. So experimenting with food and focusing on variety would be one thing. And the other thing is choosing seasonal, fresh, and if it's possible, organic food. Because we are what we eat, yes, that is true. But also the nutritionist advocate Michael Pollan says, we are also what we eats. So we really need to be careful about the source of the food, choosing seasonal food, especially in terms of vegetables, or if you are consuming animal products, then choosing again grass-fed organic sources would be beneficial for us.
Mm-hmm. It's so true that it's there's no excuses nowadays really for people to be suffering or feeling like they are not looking after their well-being, as there's so many, like PAAR have these assessments that you can find out, what your body's intolerant to, what you should be eating more of, what you're lacking in. So, it's not it's more expensive to let your health deteriorate because you don't know what's going on. So I'm definitely all for finding out what's going on so you know what type of life you should be leading. There are a lot of trends, there are a lot of diets, but are there any trends in nutrition that you're enthused by at the moment?
Yes, there are a couple of things that I'm quite interested in. But again, I want to highlight that the main point here should be focusing on what works best for you. Because nutrition and health is an evolving science. So every day we receive another new research, another new trend. So instead of trying to keep up with these trends, I would really recommend to stick with what works best for you. Of course, it's good to keep yourself up to date with the new data when we can experiment as well. But for example, if gluten-free diet is not working for me, so I won't keep torturing myself to have a gluten-free diet. But the trend that I really like at the moment is circadian diet, or it can also be found as circadian fasting. And it's mainly highlighted because of the intermittent fasting, which is a quite popular topic, and tells you to have an eating window. The difference between them is that circadian diet and fasting focuses on your biological rhythm. Because all livings, humans and plants, we have 24-hour cycle. And that basically triggered by sunlight and darkness. So what happens is in the morning when sun rises, we have high levels of cortisol, which are mainly known as stress hormone, and it's critical for us to be aligned. So in the morning, the sun rises, cortisol is high, and it basically tells your body to wake up and start functioning for the day. And throughout the day, that level goes down. And when it's dark, your melatonin levels, which is known as sleep hormone, gets high and tells your body, okay, you're done your job today, so it's time to rest and sleep. So circadian diet and fasting tells you to follow that rhythm. So eat during the daylight, do all of your work, be active, but when it's dark, stop eating, stop fasting, to focus on your resting. Because during the night, when the cortisol is down, our body starts looking for if there is anything malfunctioning, and it has ability to restore that and repair that. If during that time, we still keep putting some food into our body, so that kind of creates a confusion, because our body is supposed to rest, but at the same time, there is new things coming on. So it needs to digest and it needs to keep working actively. And that might cause some hormonal imbalances, like blood sugar balances, and change and affect your sleep quality as well. So that's one of the new trends. Actually, it's not new, but let's say got popular lately, a trend that I really like.
I genuinely think that they missed a trick. They should have called that the sunshine diet.
Yeah.
Or the sunshine lifestyle. I feel like that would be a much better fit in my medical profession opinion. I'm not medically trained.
You can call it as it wants. Yeah.
I like the sunshine diet. It just makes me think of Nice yellow, nice glory, lovely. So Ayse, we'll come back to you if you don't mind. I have a couple of questions come in that we would like you to answer if you could. What new well-being trends can we expect to see coming into the workplace post-COVID?
Okay, so I think, general well-being is going to be, have a more highlight and emphasis, post-COVID, because I think everyone understands that the best way to protect yourself is, having a strong immune system. So when you're faced with different viruses or bacteria or whatever, outside threats, that you have an immune system that can deal with the situation. And the best way to keep your immune system healthy, as I think Ezgi pointed out, is first of all, understand what's really challenging your immune system currently. Do you have certain toxins accumulated, or are you eating foods that you cannot tolerate? Because all these things keep our immune system busy for no good reason, really. So, or do I have something so I'm not kind of necessarily getting all the vitamins I need from the foods that I eat, so therefore I'm not really feeding my immune system. First of all, I'm keeping it busy with unnecessary things, and then I'm not feeding it effectively. So all these things are, definitely are creating more challenges for the immune system. So I think, one trend that's ongoing is, certainly making sure that, everybody has the protection, innate protection, which is our immune system. So, and then again, I think, I can't say enough of it. We in PAAR, we think this is a personalized matter. So not everybody needs vitamin X, Y, Z. It's like, what do you need? What is it that I need to do? And hopefully, at some point, ideally, we're getting all the vitamins and everything we need from the food we eat, and we're able to get the, nutrients out of that food. So I think, those are the things that are important. Ezgi pointed out epigenetics. So we can't change our genes, genetic, but we can change our epigenetic. So therefore, and that's all about, our lifestyle, how busy we keep our immune system with unnecessary things, how much, because that creates our inflammation. So how much we're able to lower our inflammation. And then, so therefore, when we say live joyfully forever, it's all about being able to change that. Yes, genetically, we all have certain diseases, in our genes coming from our ancestors, but as long as we're able to positively impact our epigenetics, we're going to be fine. So that's another thing to look into, because we look at two different things. One, what's happening with you within your metabolism, and the other thing is epigenetics, and how fast you're aging. As a result of what's happening there, how is that impacting your aging, your overall health? And I would say those are the things. I'm not necessarily a person that is, this diet, that diet. It is just a personalized matter. What works for you, So intermittent fasting seems to work for a lot of people, but not for everybody. So, or plant-based eating works for a lot of people and it's good, but then not for everybody. So I think there's a way to balance it and catch that homeostasis point in your body. And that feels more fun to me, as opposed to just following some rules. I'm all about going beyond the limits. So it's hard to get me to follow some written, So therefore, I need to understand, I need to understand, why do I have to do that? And the programs we put together, the assessments, are allowing people to do that. So when I understand what's happening with me and why I need it, then it's easier for me to, follow the advice, because I know what I'm doing. So that's what I would say. I'm not into latest trends, but I'm into what really works.
Asking the right questions and getting the correct answers. Yeah, I like that too. I very recent years, probably about 5 years ago, got an intolerance test, which I didn't even know that existed, to be honest. Okay. And I found out that I was 99% intolerant to beef, and I haven't had it since. And honestly, my overall well-being, I know it's a little tiny thing in a huge chain, but it's changed my life. And I didn't know that.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. So it is definitely better to know these things than to not to.
Exactly.
So We've been asked to discuss more suggestions, if you have any, about workplace support. How do you feel like you support your workplace?
Again, I think, as we are talking about, well-being, health, that's the area we're focusing on. There are many other ways to focus, I think, workplace, I've, before PAAR, as you pointed out, I've, built and managed, many different companies as well. There are many different things that are important, but our topic right now is health and well-being. So I really think that, encouraging people to take care of themselves is important. And then providing tools to do that is important. And I think, when you do it in a way that really makes a difference to people, it matters, people, I realize that, and I think they appreciate that. I know that some companies do it as a competition, people like that. Some people are like, oh, it's a competition, it's either with losing weight or being able to, run 10 kilometers or whatever it is. And to get yourself there, it's you need to follow a program. So, and it's a personalized one. Ezgi runs, Veronika meditates. So I do a little bit of both. So it's a matter of, I think, providing the platform for the employees to take care of themselves, reminders, in this environment, it's webinars are, certainly something that, that people have to do, right? We can't get together in person. And then I think when employees achieve some success, awarding them with more personalized approaches, one-on-one coaching. So it's, I think it would go a long way, even if they don't do the full, assessment and everything, even if there is this program happening, I think they would feel appreciated. So those are some of the approaches that I would recommend.
Okay. And one final question for yourself. What do you do like throughout the day? I always like to find if people have these like life hacks in order to keep themselves feeling good throughout the working day, because we all have stresses in our jobs. We all have stresses in our life and our relationships.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you do that you could tell us that could help us, throughout the rest of the working day?
Yes. So, I think something I do, definitely religiously is meditation when I wake up in the morning and, when I go to sleep at night. And sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes, but I see that it makes a big difference because a lot of our life, what we see happening, is in our subconscious. And I think it's important to make sure that, increase our energy levels and, work with that. Just don't leave it to chance, that I see as very important. I do juicing, with not great tasting, but healthy things like parsley, lemon mixes and things like that. I think they make a difference to me. Of course, some sort of exercise. I can't go to a gym every day, but walking, if I need to do things, those make a difference. Spending time with loved ones as much as I can, is a big one. I have a 7-year-old daughter, so it's, I don't have an option. So
you do it, honestly.
So it's and then I would say that, and certainly this is not something I do every day, but I'm aware of what's going on with me. So sometimes I, don't do the right things all the time. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this is what's going on with me, but I'm still going to have the second glass of wine or whatever it is. But at least I'm aware. And next day I try to, do something healthy, compensate it. So those are some of the daily practices.
It's a journey, not a destination. Veronika, we haven't asked you that question. Do you have any life hacks or things that you do to, some people have to set reminders, on their smartwatch that say, okay, you haven't moved in 2 hours, so now you should get up and, at least walk for 10 minutes or walk on the spot or move your body. Is there anything that you could maybe give us advice?
Setting reminders is a good idea, but still often clients who I speak to during consultations that I give at PAAR, they say that, well, actually, I don't really have time. I don't have 10 minutes. My whole day is completely full with tasks. So we don't have to, as I said it before, we don't have to sit down to meditate. We can do this while we are walking. So one of the things that I suggest, and I practice myself as well, to just bring elements of mindfulness, so these moments of mindfulness, into your everyday activities that you do. So we all brush our teeth in the morning, we brush our teeth in the evening. So you can do that in a mindful way. So instead of kind of looking at your phone or thinking about something, you can just really focus on the sensation of the toothbrush against your teeth, the taste of the toothpaste. You can do that while you're showering as well. So you have a mindful shower. So really feeling the sensation and the temperature of the water, the smell of whatever product you're using. Or as you're walking from your house, let's say the train station, if you in the future we will have to go back to our workplaces, then you can do that in a mindful way, really focusing on noticing what is around you. So I actually, when I was going into a workplace rather than working from home, I used to do this every day. And what I noticed is that there was this beautiful tree right on my street with these amazing flowers.
Blossoms.
And blossoms, yes, and it gave me a completely different quality. So it's kind of like started the day in a very different way than as if I was just rushing to the train station, not paying attention to what is happening. But it kind of like made me feel really grounded in my own reality, and it made me feel, it had kind of like a positive outlook on life once we tune in with what is happening around us. So I think this is probably the advice I would give. Because as we kept highlighting throughout this whole session, is that do what works for you individually.
I like that. I like that a lot. And we'll just wait for a couple. I think we do have a couple more questions, but if you do have a question you would like answered by our lovely ladies today, please do put it in the Q&A box. So I really think we've done well here today, ladies. Telltale signs that an employee is about to have burnout. I think it's pretty obvious, really, if your employees are heading in that direction. And we're really grateful to say that there's going to be a promotional with PAAR and Staff Treats. On Staff Treats, you can get 20% off on the Staff Treats platform. And also, if you've attended this webinar, you can get a free online assessment, which I'm very excited about, to be completely honest. So I'll just double check for any more questions. Ezgi, what's the best part of your job?
Oh, it's my dream job.
Oh,
Because I'm a former GP, and as Ayse mentioned at the beginning, at some point I didn't like it, so I changed it. So, and I'm really happy that we embrace that bio-individuality and we have a holistic approach. I think that would be it, because we work with a team of experts, and within that team we have doctors, nutritionists, naturopaths, mindfulness meditation experts, personal trainers. So being able to work with that team and really providing something valuable for only that unique person is my passion, and it makes me really happy every day. So I'm really grateful for it.
love that. You'd think that was almost scripted. That was magical. Thank you so much for that. That has really made me feel very good today. So
Thank you for asking.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. And this webinar will be available online at a later date. But let's give our panelists a big round of applause. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you all very soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.